Okay, we have some time, a little bit, maybe 13 minutes. I want to make sure Korn catches his fly on time. The floor is open.
Yes, a quick question to the three politicians. The representative of the Democratic Party has explained to us what three of the main priorities of your party would be, sir, if you join a future coalition. You mentioned education, you mentioned the fact that society is becoming older and older, and you mentioned new technologies in order to better tackle the challenges from the environment. Dr. Phongthep mentioned the fact that if his party comes back to power, making Thailand a fairer society with a better distribution of the immense wealth in this country would be one of the top priorities, remain one of the top priorities. I have a lot of respect for you, Dr. Anutin. We met already with the club, the group of the European ambassadors here. You talked to us. If your party joins a coalition, what would be clearly the one or two or three major priorities of your party? Thank you.
Okay. I'm a publisher here, White Lotus. We heard the parties here. They are going for the votes. Is it possible that the military would set up a new party and take away votes from the traditional parties and would have then an own base in the parliament besides the appointed people?
Of Sweden.
Staffan Hellström, Ambassador of Sweden. One part of the preconditions for free and fair elections are, of course, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and the question to the representatives of the parties here: what kind of steps in that direction do you foresee, and when do you foresee that those kind of steps, getting rid of restrictions in these two areas, when do they need to happen, and do you expect that to happen?
Okay, let me come back, now to our former elected representatives, not just politicians. Anutin, policy ideas, election, coalition government, any policy ideas from your party, Bhumjaithai? And do you think the military will set up a party of its own? And then finally, civil liberties, basic freedoms, fundamental rights, and so on. When can we expect them to be restored, you think?
I make sure that next time I would request the moderator not to let me speak first. Because I didn't know that how many minutes I was bounded for. So I haven't covered things that I wanted to say, because I tried to finish it in, I think, about 7 minutes. So my time was taken by Kun Phongthep. Never mind, we were sitting next to each other in the cabinet. And listening to Dr. Jade, I might think I have to nominate the second nominee from my party as Prime Minister. Well, thanks to all the questions and comments. It is too soon. Maybe I'm able to say this because I presume that I'm the only party leader that at least I can speak for the party. That it is too soon for me whether to answer your question, what I would do if I were able to be part of the next coalition. I don't know whether I would be part of the next coalition or I would form the coalition. So I have to reserve that answer first. All I could say right now is my party will have a policy that will be stated in accordance to the current affair of Thailand, and it will have to stay within the the framework of law, of constitutions. I could not, if asked whether I would worry, as Kun Phongthep would say, there's a little slight differences when Kun Phongthep mentioned that the charter would only affect politicians, but actually if politicians could not do anything freely because of the provisions in the charter, it would eventually and in consequence affect the people and the country. As a management, I don't think that would be the problem. That's why the country needs people who are able to find strategy or solutions or policy to get by within the framework. Let me give you a very clear example. I used to run a defunct company, which underwent Chapter 11. And you know, when we were in Chapter 11, you were bounded by lots of limitations by the creditors. They would never allow you to do things that you once was able to freely do. They would bar you from overspending. They would tell you not to hire more people. They would tell you to fire people. They would tell you to keep improving the profit, performance. All the things were written in the charter to an interim management of the defunct company before proposing whether they would be able to rehabilitate the company or not. The most important thing is whether you have a clear intention to improve the company. You can always set a goal, and that goal will be able to undertake within the frameworks if you have good intention. Thailand is no different than the nature of the things that I have just mentioned. If I set the goal that I had to survive this organization, and I had been bounded with lots of regulations. As long as I believe and I would never allow my team to benefit things to themselves, no one could stop me of doing the good stuff. Now come back to Thailand, for example. Every government will have to help farmers. If I know that the price of the rice is 9,000 baht, whether I would warrant the price or whether I would take pledge of the rice, which any government will certainly do. It's just what they wanted to say to avoid, being criticized by the determinator of the determination of words. They will have to help. If I would take pledge of 15,000 baht a ton, that I will consider that nobody would allow me. The upper body, the Politburo, I don't even mind what it's called, will never allow me. And I don't think I can sell to the people that I was doing the right thing. But if I would say, well, I would just guarantee that the cost of the farmers will be protected with a limited amount of products. I think I would get by. And I think I would be able to explain to all concerned parties, not only the farmers, but the country as a whole, that the government is now doing the proper thing. Kun Yingluck case, and I respect Kun Phongthep comment that it's not yet finalized. The verdict hasn't been published publicly. But look at Kun Bun Song, her colleague. I think that was finalized, and the period of petition, 30 days, had fallen due and passed due, and I haven't heard that Kun Bun Song submit petition. So I think I have to assume that he already accepted the verdict. So again, the policy is always right. You have to help farmers in this particular case, but in order to implement the policy, the way to conduct and overlooking and control the policy is the duty of the leader. So nobody could avoid that. It's either if he was able to sway from the punishment, which I would want to see that too, because everyone who served the country should not end up that way. I had a pity feeling for that. But in terms of being, I would say, the supervisor to the cabinet, this catastrophe, this magnitude of damage that was done to the country, the boss had to know, the boss had to stop, the boss had to even cancel the thing or did something to prevent the damage to happen. So if I were to criticize the situation, this would be the point that I would criticize. I will never criticize whether everyone in that coalition involved in wrongdoing act, because that's the job of the judge. In conclusion, I'll take another 3 minutes. Oh, 1 minute.
Can we come back to you? Sorry.
Oh, you want to go first? Okay.
Let him go and have he has to
Okay.
catch a flight.
Sorry.
We'll come back to you.
Because I know your 3 minutes.
Maybe just the policy vision part.
Yeah, just very quickly, and I apologize for not staying to answer your questions. It's my 20th anniversary, and Dr. Thitanan tells me that these are 160 very important people in this room, but I'm afraid today there's one person more important. So I have to leave. But I just want to very quickly say, on the mathematics side, with regards to what happens once we have the election. Imagine a situation whereby more than 250 elected MPs agree on who should be Prime Minister, but can't force that through because the Senate chooses either not to vote at all or specifically vote not to support that same person. Then I think we'd be in a real crisis. I do agree with the sentiment of Dr. Jade and the words, the final words of Kun Phongthep, that the people will decide, the people should decide what happens to Thai politics through the election. And if 250 appointed senates try to stand in the way of the voice of the people, I think we are in for some trouble. So hopefully, the situation we find ourselves in, maybe we're worrying too much. Maybe the Senate will just wait to see, if there can be an agreement amongst the elected MPs as to who should be Prime Minister, and they will just tag along, and that would be the best case scenario. Is it possible? Yes. I mean, we're all assuming here that the military wants to stay on. I'm sure they do. We're assuming here that Kun Prayut wants to come back as Prime Minister. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But it's just a position. And at the end of the day, the question is, will they choose to stand in the way of the view of the people? I hope they don't. And that's my final word for today. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry I have to leave. Thank you.
ขอบคุณครับคุณกรณ์คุณอนุทิน can we continue? Would you like to? You can have as long as you like now.
No, it's okay. Well, now I forgot what I wanted to say. Again, I was before Kun Korn took on, I was talking about the style of leader. We need a good management. We don't need people who read the constitution and then come and try to, stay within all the words in the constitution and try to, make the way around. If you ask my party, and I confirm again that my party will never nominate people outside the party to become to the parliament to be elected the prime minister. I have made that clear a long time ago, and I don't see any opportunity that my party will switch from that position. Could be the second one, but that person will have to be a party member and cannot be no one else. Luckily, the thing that made it more difficult for a person of General Prayut's caliber, it is said in the constitution that a nominee that would be proposed by any political party would have to officially accept the nomination in writing, and he or she could only accept one nomination from one party. As being a liberal manager, corporate executive, or being a senior political figure, I stopped thinking about whether Kun Prayut will take that nomination. I don't think a person of his caliber will ever accept that qualification. And the party as well doesn't feel that we have the need to do that. So to me, I will provide for the possibility that he will come through nomination on the ultimate stage, that he will be nominated by one of the 250 Senate members. And then from that part, I still have time to determine whether I would, take yay or nay on that state, on that step, but not directly from the party. I still believe Kun Prayut's promise, and at least when he said that in the global arena, even though he said he did not mention the date, I think he really meant it, that and he had full intention to call for election. People who said otherwise have only been his surroundings, and he never came to say, he never came out and say that and confirm the statement of other people who mentioned. I think as a leader, when he said election will be held, he has full intention to follow the roadmap. I think he has given promise. And I said 2 weeks ago in front of the press associations that election will be held by the end of next year. If not, probably it could go on until mid of 2019. But after that, I said, God knows. And really, God only knows, because I don't know what will happen after that. And I don't think it will go that far, due to many aspects and many and all the things that are happening in the country and the need of the people. I think the people will come and voice more that they need election. With that, now the conclusion will be Thailand politics. Thailand's after, I would say, 2019, 17. I'm very optimistic that it will lead forward in all aspects. People have learned lessons. People have tried all alternatives that they have. People have voluntarily come in and take position, take control of the country. And at the end of the day, it all will come to the conclusion that nothing is ever better than full democracy to the country. And I bet you 10 to 1 that it will happen in Thailand. And we all will see in the next, no longer than 24 months from now. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Very good news. Very good. Thank you. Mr. Phongthep, policy ideas, would this be a continuation of any new policy ideas or continuation of the previous platform? And when might we expect some of these restrictions to be lifted on fundamental freedoms and civil liberties?
We understand that the platform of the party is a crucial point, not only for the party, but of course for Thailand and for the Thai people. In our experience, we did not formulate policy ourselves. We work with people. We send our representatives to discuss with various groups of people and sectors to learn their problems, to ask them how they thought the government could help them. Before we gather such information, and then we work with experts, domestic and foreign experts, to try to find a solution for those problems. This type of process takes time. Unfortunately, at this moment, political parties are restricted from conducting any political activities. So we lack a good opportunity to interact with the people. Of course, as Ambassador Stefan asked about freedom of speech and lifting the ban on prohibiting political activities, I would say as soon as possible. It will be very good for the country. But this government may not think it is good for the government, because freedom of speech, this government will be criticized. We have seen some students who criticize about some corruption cases of the government, and they were apprehended. So even if the freedom of speech is good for the country and for the people, but when the junta may think that it is not good for the government and junta, we may have to wait for quite some months before the ban will be lifted. In terms of the question about the formation of a new party to support the military, I've heard that some parties have been formed. So we can expect that those parties which will support military-led government, the question is whether the voters will vote for those parties or not. It may not be only one party, maybe some more, 2 or 3 parties. But the question will be on the voters. Will they vote for those parties or not? Under the new electoral system, I don't know whether the voters' behavior will change in what direction. In the old time, they have 2 ballots. They can vote for constituency candidate and they can vote for party. Many times, many voters voted for candidate of Kun Anutin, but vote for Pheu Thai Party. And Pheu Thai Party always gain more votes than its candidates. But the new system, the voters will have to decide. They have only one ballot. Will they give priority to the individual candidate or to the party? If they give priority to the party, of course, the party will gain higher percentage. If the party gains 70% percentage of the vote, they will get 350 seats, no matter what. I cannot foresee the change of voters' behavior, but I believe that the dual system will change the landscape of election much. Kun Anutin may get more MPs, or maybe on the opposite. If voters consider that to vote for the party is important, especially if they want representative from the parties to be next prime minister, they have to throw all their votes to support some party or one party. We have to see that. In respect of the Thai future, I still believe in the Thai people that they will make a good decision for themselves and for Thailand. But I do not see much future for this constitution. Kun Mithai, for the last time before this, he spearheaded one constitution which led to the blackmail incident, whereby a lot of people got killed and wounded. For this present constitution, I do not think that it will last long. It has to be substantially amended in order to survive. Thank you.
Ajahn Jade, very quickly, do you think the military will set up a party of their own? And then do you think in the long term, 10 years from now, this 2017 constitution will still be around?
To your first question, I think no. They won't set up the political party. In some of their own words, they said they want to come in elegantly. So I don't know what that means. Okay, elegantly. So they will not set up the political party. For your second question, it's too soon to say yes or no. How long the constitution will last. And I think talking about the legitimacy of drafting the constitution, of course, I don't know what the other drafters will think, but for me, I have no legitimacy in drafting the constitution. But it's always that a person like myself or some others came under a situation in which someone appointed us to do it, to write it. We didn't write as people pointed hands to us, or at least many of us did not write that way. I will not protect or I will not defend the Constitution. However, what Kun Anutin pointed out clearly is that a Constitution came through the referendum, so we have to just accept what the people said. Even the people want election, or the people didn't even read the Constitution, or whatever is the reason why the people passed the Constitution. The Constitution was passed through referendum. So the Constitution that passed through referendum should be able to stay, or we should try utmost to keep it. Yes, like Kun Phongthep said, so many things in the Constitution need amended, but we should bring amendments to it, not bring the end to it. Okay. Lastly, not because I'm part of the drafting panel, But if you read through the Constitution, there's so many good things too. There's so much commendable issues in there, like Kun Anutin pointed out several of them. Anti-corruption, the mixed member apportionment system, which is newly invented here in this country, is not at all that bad if you look into it. Lastly, what people said about the vote no. If you don't see any candidates in your constituency that you would want to elect, then just say no to all of them. They will all be wiped out and the parties will have to once again nominate new candidates over and over and over until the people is satisfied with someone. So these are the things that if you read into the Constitution, it should stay, be amended, but not being torn.
Thank you very much, Adjunct. Look, I'm sorry we don't have time for any more comments and questions, but we already exceeded time. Thank you very much for joining the forum today. I think we've learned a lot. We have some dynamics, maybe a measured vision of what's to come. Still a lot of uncertainty, I'm afraid. Don't know when the election is going to be. And there may be a couple of factors that we haven't discussed about the time frame. Nevertheless, we'll do this again sometime down the line. Please join me in thanking the speakers who have shared their time and expertise with us.